What's going on, Disney fans? It's Disney Dan here with a little bit of a Disney park news beat update kind of thing. I don't normally do this kind of stuff, but today, while watching social media and Twitter, Instagram and stuff, apparently at Disneyland in California, power went out during peak season during the Christmas holiday, and I was sitting here watching the photos and the videos and everything roll in, and I just thought to myself, I've got to kind of stitch together some of the clips that people were sharing online because the imagery is too crazy, and how can you not share it? So here's what happened. Today, around noon, Disneyland in California is like, okay, we're at capacity. We've got too many people. I believe it's like a couple tens of thousands of people can cram into that park. And they say, okay, we're all filled up. No one else can come into the park. And if you want to have a Disney resort experience, go across the street to Disney California Adventure, because right now, as it stands, we're all filled up. And you could see the security, people were posting pictures of the security lines like just packed and just at a standstill because the park was at capacity and they weren't letting anybody in. It's kind of just insane. And so then right around the same time, around noon, 12:30, power started dropping in the park and rides started shutting down. And so I think they set up to like 12, 13 rides at a certain point were without power and were not operating in the park. And so you had a park full of guests, and then you had 12 to 13 attractions suddenly not operational. And those attractions, they're like sponges. They're like guest sponges. They suck up the guests off the streets and keep them busy. And so you've got more than half the park suddenly not working, and all the people who were in line for those rides, who were, on the rides, suddenly got escorted off and away. And the Disney cast members weren't like, oh, you have to leave the area. You could still hang out in Toontown or around Dumbo or small. It's a Small World, but they're like, you can't be on the ride anymore. And so now the streets of Disneyland are going to obviously get packed more and more and more, because now there aren't a bunch of rides for people to ride and wait on. And it just got crazy really, really fast. And so apparently this power outage started in like the Toontown area and then slowly worked its way across Fantasyland, and it affected a bunch of rides. Like Indiana Jones was down, and what it boiled up to is they started like escorting guests off the premises that weren't even in the park yet, because it was just at capacity, and they closed it down. And so a bunch of people were at the park, and things started going crazy, and rides weren't working. And so they're like, you know what, we're going to leave. And so they left the park, and the park's at capacity. And then suddenly, like 4 or 5 hours later, the power comes back on. Those guests that were there this morning can't get back into the park because the park's at capacity, and Disney's not issuing refunds because you were in the park and the park didn't close. They just shut down certain rides temporarily. It's just a nightmare. I can't even imagine being a guest at Disneyland today, and trying to have a good Christmas vacation. It just seems like it's crazy, just absolutely crazy. So here's a bunch of images and videos while I'm talking about of the park being filled up wall to wall with people. There's a couple like helicopter news shots. There's a couple of great shots of from Instagram and Twitter and Facebook of people, like on rides or in the streets or waiting in queues to get refunds or trying to get refunds. And it boggles my mind. I can't believe I've never seen so many rides dead during daylight hours, and so many people. I mean, I've been to Disney parks during Christmas time, and this is just crazy. This just gives me anxiety to the max looking at all of this. So I just wanted to share a couple of these clips and kind of walk you through what happened. I guess now, 4 or 5 hours later, around 5, 6 o'clock, power slowly was being restored, and the park's back up and running at full steam with all the attractions up and running now. So it was kind of like this weird isolated incident, but unfortunately it happened during the craziest peak, high capacity, tons of people in the park time of year. And that translated to a bunch of really, really angry people, understandably. And it translated to just a nightmare scenario. But here you go. Here's a bunch of videos and pictures and clips of the park. As always, I really appreciate you guys hanging out and checking out the videos that I put together. Check out the people who posted these videos on Instagram and Twitter. Like, follow, subscribe, share your sympathies with them. And hope you enjoyed the Disneyland Apocalypse 2017 power outage. I don't even know if there's like a good hashtag for it, but there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, you guys rock.